higher wages, world-class healthcare, beaches that put the rest of the planet to shame, and a lifestyle that somehow still makes room for a decent work-life balance. If you've ever wondered why so many people move to Australia, and more importantly, why so few people who move here ever want to leave, this video is for you. Today, we are breaking down the best things about living in Australia. From the everyday things that make life easier, to the bigger advantages that most people don't really appreciate until they experience them. And stick around, because number 4 is the reason many expats say they'll never go home. Australia is home to around 27 million people, and they're spread across a landmass roughly the size of the continental United States. Yet somehow, life here feels relaxed, spacious, and genuinely livable. Australia consistently ranks among the world's top countries for quality of life. And that's not just clever marketing. There are real, everyday reasons behind that reputation. So, let's get into it. Let's start with the obvious one, the weather, and the outdoor lifestyle that comes with it. Most of Australia enjoys a mild to warm climate for much of the year, which means outdoor living isn't really a seasonal luxury here. It's just normal life. A barbecue on a Tuesday night, a swim before work, or a weekend hike through a national park that's less than an hour from the city. Australia has more than 10,000 beaches. Think about that for a second. If you visited a different beach every single day, it would take you almost 27 years to see them all. And they're not just beautiful, they're generally clean. Many are patrolled by volunteer lifesavers, and they are open to the public. No paywalls, no private beach clubs blocking off the best sand. This connects directly to something Australians call the outdoor lifestyle. And it's not just a tourism slogan. You see it in everyday life. Office workers eating lunch by the harbour, families having a Sunday sausage sizzle, people walking their dogs along the coast, and entire suburbs built around walking tracks, parks, and swimming spots. For many new arrivals, this is one of the first things that really stands out. There's a feeling that a good quality of life isn't reserved only for wealthy people. It's built into the geography and into the culture. Here's where things get genuinely important, especially if you're comparing Australia with countries like the United States. Australia has a universal healthcare system called Medicare. It means eligible Australians get access to free or subsidized healthcare through the public system. You can walk into a public hospital emergency department, receive treatment, and you're not handed a massive bill just for being there. There's also something called the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme. It helps keep the cost of many prescription medicines down. Some medications that can cost hundreds of dollars elsewhere can be available in Australia for a fraction of that price. Now, the Australian healthcare system isn't perfect. Public waiting times for some non-urgent procedures can be long. That's one reason many Australians choose to have private health insurance as well. But the safety net underneath the population is real. And that's incredibly important. Getting sick doesn't automatically mean risking your entire financial future. That peace of mind is something you may not fully appreciate until you've experienced what life is like without it. This is the one that surprises a lot of people. Australia has one of the highest minimum wages in the world. And for many workers, the actual pay can be even higher once penalty rates are included, night shifts, weekend work, and public holidays can all come with additional pay. But it's not just about the number on your payslip. Australian workplace laws are designed to give employees strong protections. Most full-time employees are entitled to 4 weeks of paid annual leave every year. There's also paid sick leave and public holidays on top of that. Compare that with countries where 2 weeks of annual leave is considered generous, and the difference becomes pretty significant. Then there's superannuation, Australia's compulsory retirement savings system. Employers are required to contribute money into a super fund for eligible employees, and that money is invested for retirement. So, almost every working Australian is building retirement savings automatically, whether they're thinking about it or not. It's one of the country's most underrated wealth-building systems. Put all of this together: strong wages, paid leave, worker protections, and compulsory superannuation, and you get a system that's designed to make working life more sustainable. Work-life balance in Australia isn't just something companies put in an HR brochure. A lot of it is backed by legislation. Now here's the one many expats point to as the real reason they stay: Australia's multicultural society. Almost 30% of Australia's population was born overseas. Walk down a major street in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, or Perth, and you'll hear different languages. You'll see different cultures. And you'll find food from almost every corner of the world. This isn't just a nice cultural feature. It changes everyday life. You can often find incredible, authentic food from different countries, sometimes all within the same neighborhood. Workplaces and schools are used to diversity, and for many migrants, that makes settling in much easier. No matter where you're originally from, there's a good chance you'll find a community of people who understand where you're coming from. Then there's the famous Australian attitude. A relaxed, no worries approach to life. The informal relationship between bosses and employees. The casual conversations. And the general lack of pretension. It can make Australia feel surprisingly easy to settle into. For many new migrants, the hardest part isn't fitting in. It's deciding which parts of their old life they're willing to leave behind. Now let's talk about something that's not as glamorous, but may actually be more important. Stability. Australia is generally considered one of the safer developed countries in the world. It has relatively low levels of violent crime, strong gun control laws, and a stable political and economic system. There's no war being fought on Australian soil, no currency collapsing overnight, and no constant fear that a sudden political crisis will completely reshape everyday life. Education is another major advantage. Australia has a large public school system, and its universities are consistently recognized among the best in the world. For families, that can mean access to a strong education system without necessarily needing to send your children overseas or pay for an elite private school. And then there's Australia's economic resilience. Before the COVID pandemic disrupted the global economy, Australia went almost 3 decades without a technical recession. That's an unusually long run among developed economies. And that kind of stability filters down into everyday life. Jobs, businesses, household finances, and people's confidence about the future. None of this is flashy. But stability is the foundation that everything else is built on. And finally, let's not forget the sheer natural scale of Australia. The Great Barrier Reef, Uluru, the 12 Apostles, rainforests in the tropical north, snowfields in the alpine south, red desert in the center, and thousands of kilometers of coastline. Australia is one of those rare places where you can genuinely surf in the morning and be hiking through ancient rainforest later that same day. But this isn't only about tourism. It's about having access to incredible nature, often without traveling very far from home. That access to space, silence, fresh air, and natural beauty is something people living in dense cities around the world simply don't have. And it's a huge, often underrated, part of why quality of life in Australia is so highly regarded. So there you have it, the outdoor lifestyle, world-class healthcare, strong wages and worker protections, a genuinely multicultural community, long-term stability, and some of the most spectacular natural landscapes on the planet. Of course, Australia isn't perfect. The cost of living can be high, housing can be expensive, and the distances between major cities can be enormous. Those are real trade-offs, and we'll cover them in a future video. When you put all the positives together, it's easy to understand why Australia continues to rank so highly for quality of life. If you found this video useful, hit subscribe for more videos about life, money, and living well in Australia. And let me know in the comments, what's the number one thing about living in Australia that you would put at the top of your list? I'll see you in the next one.